Welcome into your practice officially. I'm titling this practice Savoring Fast and Savoring Slow. And this is a time of year, whether it's around food or it's around gatherings with groups of people or it's around gift giving or it's around rituals and holidays, that there's a lot to be savored. And savoring in mindfulness practice is really exactly that. It's a mindset. And this class is inspired by a quote that was written by a journalist. And I'm going to read it just to set the tone for the practice. The journalist's name is Melissa Helser. And she said, "Savoring is a mindset that doesn't wait for life to get perfect to enjoy it. Savoring believes that life is worth it, no matter what the state." So with that setting the tone for savoring, let's get started in downward facing dog. And you might start with some movement in your down dog, since this is a little bit of a non-traditional place for us to begin a practice. And the title, Savoring Fast, Savoring Slow, is really indicative of the way the flow is going to go today in our VinYinasa practice, because the first half of the practice is going to be a little bit faster, a little bit quicker. And the second half, we're really going to slow it down. And we're going to pay attention to, what does it feel like to experience or drop into a commitment to savoring at both of those speeds. Let's start to find some stillness in our downward facing dog. The feet are parallel, heels melting towards the mat. And then lengthening through the outer arms, pushing the palms into the mat as if you were going to push the earth away from you. Give yourself a full inhale. We're moving straight into a flow. As you exhale, knees come down, thighs are parallel. Sink back to a child's pose with the thighs parallel. Inhale, float forward to all fours. Tuck the toes back up to down dog. Bring your heels together. Turn your feet out 45 degrees like a ballerina in first position. Take a breath here, this first round, noticing how the sensation in the body has slid to the outer legs. And then on your next exhale, bend the knees. Knees come to the outer edges of your mat. Big toes touch. Child's pose with the knees and thighs in a V. Inhale, shift forward. Tuck the toes. You're back into parallel feet, down dog. Come forward to all fours. And then keep your left knee down. Turn your right knee out 45 degrees and sit back in that hybrid position. Shift forward to all fours. And switch knees. Left knee out, sitting back. Shift forward, and you're back in a classic down dog, hips up and back. So that's the flow. We'll do it twice more. Inhale forward, thighs are parallel, child's pose. Inhale forward. Downward facing dog, bring the heels together, feet turned out. Exhale, knees come wide, sit back to that wide kneed child's pose. All fours, tuck the toes, classic down dog, feet parallel. Knees come down, you're in a tabletop. Lift that right knee, turn it out, sit back. Little bit of a toe stretch, little bit of a hip opener. Shift forward, left knee out and open. And forward, back to your down dog. One more time through, knees down. Thighs parallel, child's. Coming forward. As you lift to down dog, turn the feet out, heels together. Knees wide, child's. Not waiting for the practice to get perfect, all fours, down dog. Savoring it as it is right now. Tabletop, right knee out. Knowing that your practice is worth it, no matter what the state, left knee out. And forward. Stay in your classic tabletop, start to move through a few cat and cows. Checking in with the spine. Noticing if you find it easier or harder to savor the practice when we're moving at a more consistent cadence. As you pass through a tabletop spine, pause there. We're going to isolate the movement through the shoulders. As you start to make shoulder circles, elbows stay straight, spine stays in that elongated table. We're just rolling the shoulders. the way you would do if you were sitting upright and you were doing shoulder rolls. It's just a little bit of a mind game, doing it in this horizontal orientation. Start to reverse those shoulder rolls, which for me gets, it's like my brain's trying to figure out what I'm doing here. 2 more of those shoulder rolls. And then we'll find a position with the shoulders where the shoulder blades are not coming together, but they're also not pushing apart. We're kind of right in this neutral space of having the shoulder blades on the back. And then we're going to start to roll the pelvis in clockwise circles. So we often just tilt the pelvis forward and back when we're doing cat and cows, but here it's like you're drawing a big circle with the pelvis. Take 1 more circle in a clockwise direction and then begin to reverse counterclockwise. Thinking about maybe it's a favorite drink or dessert or some food item that you find really amazing. It's like your favorite. Find a neutral position with your pelvis and elongate your right leg back, lift it up parallel to the floor. Tabletop, swing it over to the left in a diagonal, look over your left shoulder, and for 3 breaths, just look at your right foot. Feel that contraction on the left side body, lengthening on the right side body. Savoring whatever is here, knowing that a savoring mindset is not waiting for anything to get perfect to enjoy it, but knowing that this pose is worth it as it is. Look forward. That space right outside your right pinky finger, you're going to step your right foot turned out, outside that right hand. We'll pause here for a couple breaths, maybe just gliding from side to side, checking in with the inner thighs and the pelvis. One of my favorite foods happens to be tiramisu. I don't share. So if you want some, you have to order your own. And I never have it when I have to be rushed. I always have it in a context that I can really savor every bite, knowing it's not going to last. I have that 1 serving to enjoy. Push the floor away, sweep the right leg back and over to the left, look at those right toes, and then step it outside the right hand into that lunge. We'll do that 3 more times. Swing it back at the diagonal and step it forward into your lunge. Twice more back and forward. Last time, back at the diagonal and forward. This time we move into some hip flossing on the diagonal. So hips come back, right leg stays turned out. Don't turn it forward and drop back into the lunge. So we're flossing that outer seam, IT band, a little bit of hamstring as well. Twice more flowing back and forward. This is the savoring fast portion of the practice. Last time. And forward. This time when you rock back, stay there. Take a couple of breaths, breathing into whatever you're feeling in that right leg. So changing the pacing of the practice, fast and slow, seeing if we can savor it, no matter the speed. Turn the toes to face up to the ceiling, plant your left palm, sweep your right arm up towards the ceiling and revolve the torso. 2 big breaths here. This is going to come into play later on in our standing sequence. 1 more inhale here. Big transition to the back of the mat, so you're welcome to watch this first. You're going to bend the right knee. You're going to windmill the arms to all the way to the back of the mat to a supported side plank. Left palm down, right arm up. Keep that right foot planted, left palm firm against the mat. You could stay in supported side plank or anchor into those 2 points of contact and lift that left knee up and in towards the belly button. Awkward side plank for 2. 1 more big inhale. Can you lift the left hip away from the mat a little bit more? Look down, right hand to the mat, down dog facing the back of the mat, left leg come to the ceiling, bend your left knee and start to create some big circles with that left knee in that 3-legged down dog. And then reverse the direction of that circle. Adding in the option to flip your dog here as you take that left foot, maybe bringing it to the mat or the floor behind you. Lift the heart to the ceiling. Open up, flipping your dog. Big inhale there. You're going to come back to your supported side plank. So look down at the mat, lift your left knee, and then pivot, left palm down, left knee down, right arm up. Inhale, you're in that supported side plank. Windmill to the front of your space. And step back, downward facing dog. First vinyasa of the practice. Shift forward to plank. Lower through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then we're going to do 2 shoulder rolls in upward facing dog. So you're going to roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down. One more. Forward, up, back, and down. Doesn't that feel funky? It feels like so weird. Lift the hips, downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Often the things that we really want to savor, we go and we try to find a pocket of space that's quiet, secluded, all to ourselves to really enjoy whatever it is that we're savoring. And so it strikes me, this quote is very particular, 2 more breaths here, about saying that a savoring mindset is not waiting for life to get perfect to enjoy something. How can you savor something when you can't get away? Drop the knees to the mat. Extend your left leg behind you. Swing it over to the right. Look over your right shoulder. Peek at your foot for 3. When going by yourself to that soft, quiet, secluded place isn't an option, what does savoring look like then? And then look forward, look outside that left pinky finger, and you're going to step that left foot there turned out and take about 2 to 3 breaths, kind of swaying from side to side. It's so interesting. This is typically my tighter side, but I'm really noticing, I'm really aware that my body's actually feeling really receptive to this pose on this side today, which is like, thanks. This is a nice turn of events. And then we'll start to flow. So push down through the palms, sweep that left leg back and over diagonally to the right, and then step it forward, turned out. 3 more, back and diagonal, and forward, turned out. Twice more, back. It's okay if you need to lift the left palm a little bit. Last time, back and forward. And then we start to rock the hips back and forward. So we go back, keep that left leg turned out, and forward. And back. Notice how the spine rounds when you go back. See if you can lengthen the spine as you come forward. Twice more, back and forward. Savoring even at that faster pace, back and forward. Staying back and holding for 3 breaths. No matter what the state of your mind, of your body, seeing if you can savor what's here right now. Appreciating that you have the space and the time just to be with your own experience as it is. Lift the left toes to the ceiling, keep the right palm planted, or like me, you could come up onto fingertips, and left arm to ceiling, revolving. Knowing that this pose in particular is really preparing us for a later pose in the practice. Use the breath here to help coax open the body. And then a big transition to the back of the mat. So I soften my left knee, plant my left foot, windmill the arms around, find my supported side plank, right palm down, left sole of the foot down, left arm up. Staying here is a really valid option, or anchoring through those 2 points of contact. Awkward side plank, knee towards the navel. 2. Big inhale here. You're coming to 3-legged dog, facing the back of your mat. And immediately when you get in that 3-legged dog, bend the knees, start those big exploratory circles in the hip. I just noticed my left heel was really elevated. So let that left heel really sink down. Reverse the direction of the circles. And then option to flip your dog here, taking that right foot behind you to mat or floor. Heart pivots up towards the ceiling. Opening, big breath here. And then we transition back to the supported side plank. So right palm comes to the mat, right knee comes to the mat, left arm comes up, full inhale. Exhale, windmill to the front of the mat, and step it back for VinYinasa. Floating forward for plank, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, we pause and we reverse those shoulder circles, back, up, forward, down, back, up, forward, down. Lift the hips, downward facing dog for 5. Some of the things that need to be savored in life don't happen slowly, they happen quickly. And so cultivating a skillfulness around savoring can really help us to take advantage of those quick blink of an eye moments that are so special that we could just miss them if we weren't paying attention. 2 more breaths in downward facing dog, and then we'll be shifting to a standing sequence. We'll look to the front of our mat space, walking or stepping the feet to the front of your space. We'll take a half lift on the inhale, fingertips to shins. Exhale, drop in Uttanasana. Standing up for our first mountain pose of the practice, arms sweeping wide out and up. Hands into heart center. We'll move immediately into this standing sequence. Inhale, arms sweeping out and up. Exhale, folding over the legs, savoring fast. Inhale, lift up halfway. Step your left leg to the back of the mat. Keep the knee lifted. Inhale, sweep the arms up. You're in a high lunge. Take your right hand to hold your left wrist. Inhale. Exhale, lean to your right, lateral bend. If it feels comfortable in your neck, pivot the gaze to look up towards the ceiling, challenging your balance. One more inhale here. As you exhale, turn the head back to neutral. Then bring the torso back to neutral. Inhale, reach the fingertips up. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. Straighten your right leg into a modified pyramid. So we're in a really long pyramid. Feet are in railroad track stance. Left heel is floating in space. Notice if your right hip is sneaking forward. Gently encourage it up and back. Take your left fingertips to the mat. Sweep your right arm up towards the ceiling, revolving your torso. Exactly what we did with the knee down, now doing it with that left knee up. 2 big breaths here. Last inhale, you're going to windmill up to warrior 2. So left arm's going to sweep forward, up and back as you land in Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2 pose. Feel the shoulder blades come together and imagine you're pushing down on something underneath your palms. As you inhale, lift your right heel off the mat. As you exhale, lower your right heel slowly until it just touches the mat, and inhale, pick it back up. Exhale, lower the heel slowly. Twice more, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Drive that right knee forward. Exhale, lower. This time you lift and you hold, savoring slowly. Keep driving that right knee forward. Skandasana at the back of the mat, lower the right heel. Palms come together, bend the left knee, sit either halfway or fully down into Skandasana skater's pose. Breathing 2. Last inhale. And then coming to the front of your mat as you slide and skate to the front, palms come down, left palm down, step your right foot back to meet your left, side plank, right arm up. Feel that left hip pulling away from the mat. Option to float the right leg like a star.
Last inhale here. Once again, flipping the dog, right foot behind you. Lift the heart. Let the right arm float back. Big inhale. Transitioning to downward facing dog. Look down, right hand down, right foot next to left. Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Big inhale there. Exhale, lower the knees to the mat. Ustrasana, camel pose. Inhale, sweep the arms up. We're going to keep the arms up for today's variation as we float the arms back, lift the heart, and lean in. So I want you to think of the body more like a rainbow from your fingertips to your toes, creating a proportional back bend. One more big breath here, and then you're going to flow through VinYasa, lifting up through the heart, planting the palms, returning downward facing dog. Inhale, shifting forward. Chaturanga. Upward facing. No shoulder rolls here. Downward facing. 5 breaths. Option to come to child's pose if the wrists are needing a little bit of compassionate care here, a little bit of a break. My favorite musician really of all time. I could mark the story and progression of my adolescence into young adulthood by her album releases, is Tori Amos. I was listening to a song of hers, 2 More Breaths, called Gold Dust recently, that reminded me of this concept of savoring. If you're not in down dog, please return to downward facing dog. As you inhale, look to the front of your mat space, walking, stepping, or perhaps hopping. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold in. Circle sweep the arms out and up. Hands into heart center. Start that standing sequence second side. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, folding over the legs. Inhale, half lift, tabletop. Stepping the right foot to the back of the mat, knee stays lifted. Sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. Left hand finds the right wrist. Inhale to grow long. Exhale to laterally lean to your left. Now you can really see it here. Notice I'm not rounding the spine or leaning forward. This is a true lateral bend, which means it may not be a very big movement. That's okay. You could pivot the head up if that's available to you. As we start to come out, turn the head back to neutral, and then lift the torso back to neutral. Inhale, reach the fingertips up. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Straighten your left leg, encouraging the left hip up and back. Right fingertips stay down. Sweep your left arm up, revolving this elongated pyramid pose. In the chorus of her song Gold Dust, Tori says, "How did it all go so fast?" As we are looking back, we'll understand that we held gold dust in our hands. Inhale here. As you exhale, windmilling open to warrior 2. Left arm forward, right arm back. Settling in, feeling that energy of pushing down through the palms. As you inhale, peel the left heel up and lower slowly. Peel it up and lower. Excellent. Twice more. It lifts and lowers and lifts and stay. So much energy in that front left side of the body. Is there equal energy in the right side? Lowering your left heel, transitioning Skandasana at the back of the mat. Skater's pose, palms come together. You could come halfway here or lower all the way down. One of the reasons why we opened with that child's pose, kind of funky hybrid. And then as we come to the front of the mat, we try to stay really low. We're coming into side plank, so the right hand's gonna come down, pivot over to the pinky side edge of the right foot, left foot stacks on top of right. Once you get stable in the pose, option to grow into a star position by floating the left leg. Flipping your dog, left toes come behind you, front seam of the body pivots up and open. Moving into downward facing dog, left hand down, left foot down, downward facing dog. And the knees come down, Ustrasana variation. Untuck the toes, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling like a big spectrum. We want proportional curvature through the body. Arms float back, heart lifts up. We don't dump the head. Keep it supported. 2. Last inhale. And VinYasa. Palms come down, tuck the toes, lift the hips, down dog. Floating forward to plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing. Downward facing. We're going to move into our first slower, longer hold pose, which is going to be a pigeon pose. Right knee comes towards the right wrist. Left leg extends to the back of the mat. Savoring slowly as we lift the heart and fold in. I'll be here for a couple of minutes. And at least it has been my experience that the story that is crafted around the concept of savoring is often a story of slowing down. And the implication is that it's easier to savor when the speed is slow. And yet my personal lived experience has not aligned with that particular narrative. Because when things are slow, that's actually often when my mind kind of like goes off on a rabbit trail. That's often when I have the most difficulty really dropping into the moment. And it's also when I get really caught up in the details of how things are not perfect. And so if we can adopt instead this mindset that savoring is not waiting for life to get perfect to enjoy it, but instead believing that life is worth it no matter the state. Maybe, just maybe, it becomes a little bit easier when it's slow. Using your next breath or two, walk the hands up and in. We are going to do something that is categorically not easier, which is double pigeon. So we're going to sweep the left leg around and we're going to stack. I'm going to face you just so you can see it. Left ankle over right knee, left knee over right ankle. So I'm calling this double pigeon today. It's also known as fire log pose. So it's like stacking the shins like fire logs, but a lot of intensity in the hips. You could stay upright. This is perfectly enough. You could even lean back if it's too much to be upright. Or if there's space here, you can fold in. Really personal experience. And notice if that perfectionist character comes in of, I'm not going to savor this. This pose feels like crap in my body right now. What's here to savor?
And just remember, we're trying to change the story here. The story is that we don't need to wait for it to be perfect to savor it. It's worthy of appreciation as it is. We're going to keep the legs in the double pigeon or the fire log pose, but wherever you are, we're going to lift the torso upright. And we're going to do a little bit of the shoulder work we've been doing the whole practice. So we're going to take the shoulders and roll them forward, up, back, and down. Once more, forward, up, back, and down. I'm going to take the arms, lengthening them broad and wide. And then we're going to bring the inner elbows, inner forearms, and palms together. And as you inhale, let the fingertips float up and let the upper back kind of round just a little bit. So I'm showing this from the side. You'll see my upper back kind of rounds here a little bit. And then I'm going to drop my elbows towards my heart and pull my heart forward. Do that twice more. Lift the fingertips up, keep those inner elbows together, let the upper back round, stretching the rhomboids. Shaky, shaky, totally normal. Elbows drop, pull the heart forward. One more time, fingertips up, a little rounding. This is intense. It looks like nothing, it's intense. And then elbows down, heart forward. And then shake the arms, release that out. And when you're ready, extend the legs and lay back for a minute of Shavasana to just let the body absorb the slower pace of those couple of poses. Really taking in this moment. Savoring the richness of rest. And then I'm going to give you the option to take a VinYasa or simply transition to a down dog. It's up to you. If you were doing the VinYasa, you might rock and roll along the spine, cross the ankles, and take a sort of invigorating flow on your way to down dog. And then we'll make our way to the pigeon or swan pose on the second side, left knee and shin forward, or right leg to the back of the mat. Give yourself that inhale, and then folding forward. I had the benefit of spending some time recently with someone who had lost a child. And in sharing some of the memories of their child, I was struck by how many of those memories were less than perfect memories. Memories of their child's quirks or things that drove them absolutely insane about their child. Frustrating moments where they had laughed and cried and yelled. And as I was preparing today's practice, I was thinking about how in our relationships, whether it be with our children or our partners or friendships, even our work relationships, we often wait to really savor those relationships until it's like those few and far between, like perfect moments. Like those are the ones we're like, oh, I'm going to put that one in the memory bank. And yet this person's sharing with me was such a reminder that imperfections are so worthy of savoring. You have the benefit of knowing where you're heading on this side. So in your own time and really in your own way, you can start to make that transition to the double pigeon or fire log pose, also known as Agni Stambhasana. And just like savoring itself, really making a choice for where you situate the body in the pose that actually allows you to savor it. So if there's a picture in your head of what this pose is supposed to look like, and you find yourself striving for that, and yet that's not a place you can actually savor the experience of being in this pose, erase that picture, throw it in the trash, and create your own experience in the pose that you can actually enjoy for the next 90 seconds or so. Savoring is so personal. What feels deeply nourishing and important to each of us is unique to us. And then again, keeping the legs in the pose. I'm going to bring the torso back up to neutral. I'm just going to turn around so that you can see my back. So we're going to work to bring the hands onto the back, and if you're quite closed in the shoulders, it may just be stacking the hands. You might be able to clasp onto opposite elbows, or you may have the availability to come into reverse namaste, reverse prayer hands. And then once you get to wherever you're going in the pose, notice if there's a feeling of closing off in the front of the shoulders. And see if you can get a slight sensation kind of in that inner armpit area of opening, of creating a little bit more space in the front of the shoulder, that inner armpit region. And as you do that, you may find that the thumb side of the hands can come together, or you might find a little bit more space to move the fingertips towards the elbows. 2 more breaths here. And then particularly if you're in reverse namaste, being really gentle as you release the hands and the wrists, it will probably feel good to just roll the hands a couple of times. You may have forgotten you're in this shape, which is a good thing. And then, yeah, some people are like, no, I would never forget that I'm in this shape. Extend your legs and bring yourself into Shavasana. And in these 5 remaining minutes of the practice, we will be in this pose of restfulness. A true state of savoring. that we call Shavasana. This reminder that no matter the state of our lives, the state of our bodies, the state of our minds, that we are worthy of this deep restorative rest, this savoring pause that is the heart of our practice. Or in the lyrical words of Tori Amos, the recognition that we are holding gold dust in our hands. The preciousness of savoring this moment. If you're inclined to stay in this state of savoring for a bit longer, please know that you're welcome to stay here as long as you like. What if this was the time that you dedicated for your practice? Allow the breath to naturally deepen. Subtle movement to enter the body. Perhaps elongating the arms overhead for a full body stretch. And then in your own way and in your own time, coming up to a comfortable seat. Either placing the hands on the body as a gesture of gratitude, or bringing the palms of the hands together. May the entire universe be filled with peace, joy, love, and light, which in Sanskrit sounds like this. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Victory to our practices.